Ladies and gentlemen from around Africa, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching me from around the world. My name's Derric. I am the chairperson for Southern Cameroon's Congress of the People's Youth Caucus. And this afternoon, I'm having a conversation with my friend and leader, Comrade Emmanuel, who is the EFF leader for our region. And I've been attending a lot of meetings in our branch with him, coordinating. And I want to have a conversation with him around how the EFF as an organization runs, as a movement, a political movement runs, what their struggle is. And the purpose is that I want Southern Cameroonians, especially members of the Southern Cameroon's Congress of the People, to learn from the ways of the EFF so that we can, do this struggle better. So you would agree with me. You have seen the EFF in action. You have seen CIC Julius Malema. You have seen how he has changed policy in this country, from taking out Zuma, from getting free education. Those are things that 10 years ago were just dreams in South Africa, and now, 5 years into EFF, they have achieved all those things. They are not the ruling party, but they can influence policy enough from an opposition bench to change, and their struggles, they are winning their struggles one at a time. So I think it's very important that we learn from the ways of the EFF, and that is why I'm welcoming Comrade Emmanuel to have a chat with him. Welcome again.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah, maybe I didn't give a proper introduction to yourself, so I would like you to, properly introduce you, so that the EFF fighters that are watching, they should, not be annoyed that I didn't do justice to that.
Yeah, when you were going on with the introduction, I kind of felt like, oh, I'm getting so many pips. Yeah, but my name is Emmanuel Mangwadu. I'm a member of the EFF. In sub-region B, which is a sub-region in the Johannesburg region. I'm belonging to a ward, which is 99, Ward 99. It covers the suburbia areas, your Linden, Fontainebleau, Robindale, and the likes. And yeah, it's been interesting also from where I sit, watching how the EFF, with the smallest percentage in parliament, we have been so strategic that we're able to at least change, how the direction of the country, how policies are made, where the country is going today. If there was no EFF, we wouldn't be here.
It would be different.
And most people often ask, like, how do you bring about so much change while you have so little power? And we often say that you don't need to be the ruling party to bring about change. You just need to be strategic about it. You need to know what it is that you are aspiring for, what it is that you need to do for your people. Because at the end of the day, one tiny voice in the hall can make that loud noise. And that's basically what we're on about.
Indeed. So, comrades, we first of all in the EFF we call members that fighters.
Fighters.
And in our movement we call members that comrades. Nice. So I would interchange with comrades and fighters. But yeah, the EFF is really different. It's not another version of the ANC, which other people are made to think. It is a movement on its own. I want to first of all, Fighter Emmanuel, tell us what is the struggle that is propelling the EFF?
Majority of the people would have looked at South Africa after 1994 and thought, oh, at least they have arrived. They have been fighting for many years. Here they are, we can celebrate. But sitting back from an African child point of view, it dawned on us that, maybe that political freedom is there. But now, starting to look at how things are done economically, we're left out. And it had to be done. Someone had to sit down and decide, either we sit here and then we perish, or we stand up and we fight to be the drivers in this economical space. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we get hold of the resources of our land and make sure that we can share them equally with the masses. And that's how I would say that the formation of the movement was founded upon, looking into how do we attain the economic freedom in our lifetime.
Yeah. So the formation of the EFF was not just a political party. It's a liberation movement on its own. It's grounded on 7 pillars, which I would want you to introduce them for the benefit of our movement's members, because probably they feel that when we write a constitution and a manifesto, it's just a document to be able to facilitate bank processes, but they don't understand that a manifesto, for instance, is the heart of a movement. It's the heart of the struggle, because it is the navigator that you have to turn and look, are we achieving the milestones that we set for ourselves and all that. So I want us to look at those of the EFF. I know that there are 7. So that when you count them, I would tell our viewers how the EFF is already achieving them and they're not in power. So,
you know, when you, I was tempted to stop you when you were saying the Liberation Party. Often when one thinks of the liberation movement, you know, you tend to think of your ZANUs and your ANCs, and I don't think that they have done maybe justice to the liberation sort of like term. Hence, everyone that is operating in this political space in the hope of attaining this economic freedom will rather not be associated with the liberation movement. I think they've done their bit. They've moved us to a point where we can pick up the baton and then we run forward now seeking the economic freedom. So yeah, I'll run away from calling ourselves the liberation movement. Okay. However, coming back into how and how we are, the party itself, the formation, how did we come to sit down and then decide, you know what, this is what we're going to be going out there and making sure that this is realized, because if it's not, we will never see the economic freedom. And funny you bring about the 7 cardinal pillars, which is, for us, that's what the foundation is. That's where the foundation is, because you can go just about everywhere, talk about everything, make as much noise as you want. If you don't have those pillars, imagine a building with no pillars. You know, it's
the navigator.
It can't stand. If you shake the ground, it collapses.
Yeah.
So we stand here now as the economic freedom fighters, and we think, you know, the most common one that people are talking about, they'll bring about expropriation of land without compensation. Yeah. For equal, equitable sort of like redistribution. People look at it and think that's a cardinal pillar. That's basically number 1. Yeah. That's where we start. We say, what do we want first? We must make sure that which is the land.
Yeah. You cannot have economic freedom if the land is not yours. If you are renting the land, it is almost impossible, you know. The people with the land are the ones with the money, where the economy is moving.
People will say, why do you want the land? What are you going to do with the land? And I often say I can't say, you know, bad words when I'm talking to them, but I often say to them, that's a stupid question to ask. How do you ask? I mean, what is in the land? What is on the land? Yeah. To start off with, if you ask me what am I going to do with the land, all the minerals, they are there. You know, even the waters run in the land.
The land, yeah.
The plants, the plantation is
everything
on the land.
Is in the land, and you're asking me what am I going to do with
work the land. Yeah. Work the land. We need the land to make sure that now we can work the land, we can produce for our people, we can, even if we talk about now industrialization, we need the land to be able to start that. Yeah. We talk about having hospitals, clinics in every sort of like a neighborhood. We need the land to be able to do that. Yeah. And those are the things that you need to start thinking about. And when people talk about maybe now the nationalization of mines and banks, strategic you know, things, people then again say, but why nationalize a bank? Why nationalize a mine? Why this? Then you come to think about it. You ask yourself a question. Majority of these banks are profit-driven. Even if they were lending a R1, $1 to the poorest man on the ground, they are still in their mind giving him that dollar, making sure that a few months later, he must pay them back maybe even $7.
That's right.
But imagine if the state now had a bank, and they see that, you know what, that fellow brother there is struggling. He has got issues. He can't afford this, he can't afford that. He comes to us and says, look, I need to build myself a home, and then I need this much. If we give that as a government to a citizen, surely we're not going to be thinking of maximizing profit out of it. We're going to give. He's going to repay back. But he's not going to be paying back
not with
10,000 times.
Not with a gun on his head.
No. You know,
exactly.
We will have to make policies that make sure that if he can afford to pay, then we get him to pay back. If he struggles here and there, we'll have to find ways and means of making sure that we don't destabilize his family because then therefore he can't pay. If you look at people, there are people that commit suicide because they just can't pay back their
loans. Yeah.
Their loans.
And the bang is on their head with
there are people whose children are out of school because
they can't pay back.
They can't pay.
Yeah.
Hence now you come back to now talk about free education. We go back and then we look at that as a pillar like, what is it about free education? Is it fair that your child and my child, just because you and I are not wealthy, if I may put it that way,
that they don't
it's condemned. He doesn't get education because his dad is just not rich.
In fact, the system already call our children previously disadvantaged. How else can our children now get out of that stigma of previously disadvantaged if they don't start with having free quality education?
The system,
how?
The system till this day, it expects us to get in a race with somebody who's wearing nice pair of sneakers and we are only one-legged. And they say, let's go. Then he goes, he wins, they even ululate him, they're like, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good sprinter, he came first, but hey, the
competitor
play field itself is not level.
Yeah.
So we're saying that we need to be able to take our people from that position there, bring them about here, which is now when people talk about now, how are you going to share the wealth of this country? And then we always say, you need to understand that if you already have $1 billion in your pocket, and the country had 2 billion, and everybody else had a 0, it wouldn't be fair to then say that we give you 500 million and then we give him 500 million, we give him, because we're just making you more richer.
Yeah.
We need to look at how can we
balance equitably. Yeah.
But coming back to what you were asking earlier on, I want us to understand one thing. It is one thing to have a political party. It is one thing to have a cell or a ward or a branch. And it's another thing to be able to know that those people that are in that particular ward, in that particular branch, needs some form of education to be able to equip them.
Yeah, so I was still wanting, I wanted us to take on, and mind you, I want the rest of Africa to understand, you have listed 3 cardinal pillars of the EFF already. You have talked about land, which you want us black people to have back our land unconditionally. It's our land. Whatever we do with it, it's us. And then you want nationalization of key assets, which can enable the government to be an enabler to the previously disadvantaged people. That is the second pillar. And then you've talked about free education, which is the third pillar. Now, interestingly, 5 years down the line, EFF is still a young party in the House. They don't have majority in the parliament or second majority, but they have already influenced 2 of their pillars. And you know already the discussion in South Africa now is how do we take back the land without compensation? That is the discussion. And it's an EFF agenda. And every political party in South Africa can claim, everybody would try to claim victory. And we understand that in politics. But everybody who has followed the South African political dispensation will know that the EFF is key. The EFF was key to pushing the land agenda to where it is right now. And free education, interestingly, right now, fees have fallen. I mean, they are looking at ways of how they're going to make that happen. But I'm wondering why they don't just go to the EFF, which said fees must fall, and say, what's the plan? How can we make this work? And they're struggling with it. So that's 3, yeah, go ahead.
I think on that note, it's pride will not allow them to come to the EFF and say, guys, this was your idea to start off with. How do we go about making it now real? How do we do this thing? The pride won't allow them to do that. Yeah. They so wish they could come, but pride just won't allow them. And at the same time, you must understand that they have got handlers on the back end. They've got handlers who are saying that, hey, you better make sure that this thing does not happen. Yeah. Even though they see there's no other way it's going to happen. Yeah. We also have to speak of, making healthcare available to all.
To all, you know.
Interesting enough, we term this year of the healthcare, public healthcare, as the EFF.
Yeah.
We're making sure that every clinic, every hospital we're visiting, we're making sure that the service delivery is up to scratch. You know, it's as safe to be in hospital, a public hospital, as it is deemed to be in a private one.
Yeah.
So people shouldn't feel like, oh God, I'm going to die if I go to a public hospital. No, we're making sure that that healthcare there in the public dispensation is of quality.
Oh.
That is a pillar on its own. We're making sure that the healthcare itself it's there.
So would leave the cardinals at 4. Why? I want our viewers in Africa to go and research the grounding of the EFF as a movement. I want people to be learners and students. You have heard how relevant the foundation of the EFF is, and I've told you already, they are so focused on these things that they are achieving them from the opposition benches. Because in the rest of Africa, most of the opposition feel that their job is just to go and sit in parliament, and they don't understand that they need to influence how the country is run. And I wanted us to narrow it down to the EFF as an organization, the functionality, which is what you were going into. This particularly is for the interest of our movement. It's young. It's only 100 days old now. And we are trying to build modeling the movements in Southern Africa, and you guys have what is working right now. So I want you to tell us a little bit about the structures of the EFF. We understand that this cardinals, it's the petrol, it's the fuel that are driving it. But tell us a little bit about the structures, and then me and you will focus a little bit on the functioning of a branch, the smallest unit, how it functions to support the mother body.
You know, I'll say fighter. You'll have to forgive me.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
For addressing it fighter.
But I'm an EFF member, so that works.
Fighter. If you look at it from this angle, a formation is there. Any party, you create a party, you put them there. So this is what we need to do, and then we are fighting for, in our case, economic freedom.
Yeah.
Then we don't create structures that. Now, on the grassroots sort of level, branch level now, we don't groom leadership from that very same point. Tomorrow we wake up, we realize that dream is realized. We have won that fight. Who then goes into those upper structures within government, whether it's be it if I was to speak from a South African point of view, whether it's on a regional level, provincial level, or even on national level. If you don't have those already groomed and prepared,
for that leadership,
you run the risk now of going back to he whom you have defeated. Come and assist me. And chances are when he comes in now, that's where our liberation movements struggled, like your ANC and whatnot. They found themselves in a position where some negotiations were made. You guys are now a government. Then they sit there like, oh, how do you run Department of Finance? Derric, do you know? He says, no, I don't. Emmanuel, do you know? I don't. Now let's call those guys we've defeated. So we call them back. Yeah. Now when they come back now they realize that they're coming back. This is a back window that has just opened for them. What they are going to now come back and do is they will come and milk you dry. Yeah. You are seated at the position, you are seen as the he who have won. But they are busy milking the state dry because you did not have the people. You don't even know that they are milking the state dry because you did not have the grooming. So what the EFF has done now is from a very grass level, the grassroots as I may call it, the branch level, we make sure that now the structures are on point. Everybody understands in this portfolio, this is what is expected of you. Yeah. In that portfolio, that is what is expected of him or her. Yeah. And then from there, how do we bring about the movement change within just the branch structure? We need to know means of communication. How do we lodge a complaint? How do we follow up? How do we make sure that it gets to the right place? How do we make sure that that which we have a complaint about is now being dealt with? Yeah. So all those things are done at the branch level. By the time the branch is now functioning, you will find that now, having to move from the branch level, you can take anybody. I mean, if you can take a secretary of a branch who's good at what she does and elevate her to a regional structure now.
Yeah.
That secretary is not going to find it difficult to operate there. And then the same can be said, once she is now comfortable here, or he is comfortable, if you elevate that person to a national structure, they already know how to operate, how to move. So every single portfolio, you need to start the grooming from the ground. And as a party, it's all good and nice to think about, you know, you look at how, I mean, I always refer to the ANC. I mean, those are, in the country where I am, that's who we saw as the people that came up. They got up there, they had no idea what to do. They had no idea what to do. They had to go back in bed with the same enemy and expected that out of it something good will come. Nothing will come good. Nothing. So it is important to make sure that from a branch level, from a regional level, go into your provincial level, all the way to the top, you are making sure you are grooming left, right, and center. You see the potential, you bring them in. You make sure that they are properly. And at the same time, we speak the language of education. Yeah. One thing that people often shy away from, because I can understand it, our liberation movements, your ANC and whatnot, they have brought about that culture of thinking, you know what do you want to be when you grow up? I just want to have a business, a tenderpreneur mentality. So there's no need to study. There's no need to do. We say you need to make sure that you are educated, because there's no point in saying that, Derric, you aspire to become the Minister of Justice, and you know zero about the legal fraternity itself. Yeah. How are you going to even, that's what happens, and the country collapses. Yeah. And when it collapses, the enemy looks back and says, we told you. We told you so. We give them a country, look at what they did. Yeah. And now it makes it difficult for any other formation, even in the next country, the neighboring country, to even start about, because now, as soon as they start, people go back and say, look at what they did next door.
That's interesting, Emmanuel, because in our struggle, our liberation struggle, for instance, when you go into this bilateral meetings with officials from other countries, they're like, so what guarantees us that you will not be another failed small state in Africa, you know? And the whole thing is, we don't understand the importance of grooming, you know, to be able to answer that question by saying, listen, even as a movement, even as we are still fighting to liberate ourselves, see, we have the structures, we have the right structures, we are grooming grassroots, policy is informed from grassroots, so that when we liberate the country, policy keeps on being informed from the grassroots. So it's a little bit different from the countries, the failed states that you want to call. We are unable to answer that question because we are not paying attention to political education, which, by the way, you've made us understand that political education is central to the EFF's, you know, a propeller, central propeller for the EFF as a movement, as a political party in South Africa. But I like to see, I keep on seeing the EFF as a liberation movement. And what they are doing, what you guys are doing as an opposition, it's way better than what ruling parties are doing in the rest of Africa. And I really think that the EFF should consider, you know, just doing political education for the rest of Africa, so that at least the opposition, those that are still fighting liberation struggles, they should understand those small little elements that are very important. Not saying that what they are all doing is not important, but these small elements are what really makes it work, you know, preparing for that future that you are fighting for. And we go back to the branch, because I'm a member of Ward 99. I'm a member of Ward 99, and interestingly, it's how we run the branch, you know. Yeah, so I want you to share, especially with members of our organization, how a branch is run, you know, the smallest organ of the organization is run. You know, the meetings, how membership is set up to ensure that members keep on participating. And the interesting thing is, you go to the branch, you find from the house help to a medical doctor. That's the interesting thing, the mix. The mix, yeah. The mix, you know, because in other areas, you will see that if people go to their cells, you will see class division. But what I saw in Ward 99 is the mix, you know. You have your house help, and you have your doctor.
You have a doctor there.
And everybody there is a fighter. And everybody is coming with their own struggle. And the party accepts everybody as a fighter. There's no qualification.
That's the one thing that with other political formations, interesting you say, it used to be seen as a class thing. if we were all driving BMs, we will belong to the same sort of like, as if now maybe it's a fashion statement of some sort.
Yeah.
But with the EF, that's why I always say that I've never seen in this country, I'm talking in my times, I've never seen a political party until the formation of the EFF. Before EFF, yes, there were, you can name them your COPE, you can name your ANC, you can name your DA, you can name them. For me, there were what I call, those political parties that were just there so that they can have a seat in parliament. Once they have the seat in parliament, it was the end goal. Yeah. They just sit there now, they have to fight to keep the seat. Yeah. So they will do whatever it takes. If they see that they were losing, they wouldn't even mind crossing over to the next party so that they can keep the seat. So for them, it was all about the seat in parliament. But now, the formation of the EFF, I was seated somewhere in a park back in 2013, and I was talking to my sister on the phone, and then as soon as I put my phone down, somebody sent me an SMS. It wasn't a WhatsApp, it was an SMS. And then says to me, have you heard about the new party that has just been formed? Party? Another one.
Another one.
That's what I thought, another one. Yeah. By then, I had already sort of like supported COPE when they were formed, break away from the ANC. I thought, okay, they were, but then they failed, and I thought, another one, I'm not going there. Then I sat there, and then I thought to myself, who are these guys? Then I went about, and then I started asking questions. To cut the story short, a few weeks later, I ended up in Braamfontein. There was a group of guys that was talking EFF, and they had a few documentations that, your manifestos and also. So, okay, I went through them, and I thought to myself, no, there's something into this. Yeah. So I didn't go into rush into joining. I read through the manifesto itself. I remember after a few months, I went online, and then I joined. Didn't tell anyone that I joined. I observed. And then every other time that, whether it was the CIC, whether it was the secretary, whether it was, when they spoke, there was so much conviction in it. You could believe what they were saying. Yeah. But then I realized one thing, that these guys were not saying, you know what, let's all go so we can, go find a way in and milk the state just like the rest of them. These guys were saying, no, we need to go back to the basics. We need to remind ourselves of the reason why did the Steve Bikos of this world, why did the Sobukwe's of this world go into the struggle to start off with. We were fighting for our land. We can sugarcoat it, we can do what we do. We were fighting, the battle was about the land. Yeah. That's what we wanted. But where did it all go wrong? When the ANC came out, unbanned, subsequently went and won the elections, did the land come back? No. Are we saying they sold out? No, we're not saying they sold out, but if you send a child to the shop to buy you a loaf of bread, the child comes back with a cigarette. Something is wrong with the child. Yeah,
but he bought something.
Something. So you need to address that with the child to make sure. So now here's the ANC that went that way to get us back the land. That's what they were in exile. That's what they were in prison. That's all those sort of things. Now they come back. They go and they are elevated into the position of now political freedom, if you may call it. They are leaders. They are seen as the heroes. But do we get the back there? And no, we don't. And here is this new party that is saying, no, we need to go back and put fire on that very same idea. The reason why the Steve Bikos died. The reason why Sobukwe was the most feared man in this country. Something that the history doesn't want to tell you. Yeah. We need to go back to that. I looked at it and I thought, no, there's something into it. I followed them. I looked them online. I downloaded the founding manifesto. I read through it and I thought to myself, this is my home. And it was only then that I started learning. I thought I was smart politically, but every meeting I attended, I learned something new. Every rally I went to, I learned something new. Yeah. I was surprised at myself that I thought I knew so much, yet I didn't know much, because those liberation movements, what they did was, I still believe that somewhere behind closed doors, some deals were made, and then they were told that, you just keep your masses a bit stupid. and then we shall carry on. We'll pump in monies into your accounts, and then life goes on. I still believe that happened. I mean, I cannot provide any evidence, but I'm still thinking that happened. So with the EFF, every meeting I went, there was something we were taught, I always refer to it when I'm sitting home. My daughter asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to school. That's when I'm going to my meetings.
Oh, wow.
Why do you say you're going to school? Because when I go in, I come out different.
Interesting.
Politically, I come out with weight. I know more when I come out. I go in thinking I know, and then I mean, we were having the Steve Biko lecture just the other day, and I thought I know so much about Steve Biko himself. But I came out, I thought, wow, that was different. That was different. Yeah. But you don't find those in these other parties. The only thing that they care about is they wait just as the elections are around the corner. Then they start handing out T-shirts. They start giving them hats, shoes, food parcels, so that you can vote for them. But they don't teach you that which you need to know to make an informed decision when you go to vote. They know you're hungry. If the election is tomorrow and I give you a bag of mili-mili, you're going to think that which is in your stomach, food. That's what you're going to vote for. You don't realize that tomorrow that parcel is not coming in. Yeah. So with the EFF, it's not just the party. That's why I say, yes, the end goal is we need to liberate, Africa. Hence, you will come and say in the liberation movement as such. But we need to do so not in the fashion of your ANC or ZANU-PF, where if you are now our leaders now, and then our movements gets to win the elections, then we are the most talked about boys in town. We have the best cars, the best houses, but the people that voted still got nothing.
That's what we need to avoid.
That's what we need to avoid, because with the EFF, I mean, with the EFF, we don't go around and say we're dishing them out. We encourage members to go and buy themselves.
Wow.
They shouldn't see it. They should always remember the reason why we're in this. Yeah. They should not join because they want the t-shirt and the beret. Now this you can equip yourself, but it's the knowledge that you need. Should we now come 2019, we win the elections, are we going to be in a position as a party to say we can govern the country? The answer will be yes. That, yeah. Why? Because the education that has been going in is enough for me.
Preparing members to be able to take
marinated them so much that I think if we come out, when we come out of it victorious, I can certainly stand within one region and say, you know what, I know of so many leaders in this that I can trust with my own life, that they can run this country successfully. And once that happens, you should imagine the effect. Yeah. On the continent itself, imagine the effect. Because right now people are thinking, you know what, these guys, they want to be voted in so they can go and eat. No, we don't want to go and eat. Which is why, if you come to think of it, going back a little bit, if you come to think of it now, if we wanted to eat so much, after the 2016 local government elections, some calling us kingmakers here, kingmakers there, if it was all about eating, we would have said, you know what, guys, we've got a smaller percentage, you give us this, we give you that, because we will be interested in just eating. We said, no, we will support he who we trust is going to deliver to the man on the ground. And with our percentage that we're going to support you with, we're going to make sure that we supervise every move
that you make.
We're going to supervise every. We're not going to run in and say, you know, make me the mayor, make me this. No. That's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that the child that is unable to go to school because the father is broke, the child that is unable to eat because it's able to get to eat, able to go to hospital, able to go to school, without now being discriminated against. We're fighting to make sure that we all get to a point where we can live side by side without classes and all sort of things. We're fighting to make sure that, you know, I was talking the other day, we were talking about holidays, holiday days. One was saying that we need to go to Durban, the other one need to go to Cape Town. So, you know, majority of the people here, as we're having this conversation, cannot even afford to get on the bus and go to Durban. Yeah. And for me, there is no freedom in your life. Because once you are free economically, you can wake up at any time. If I feel like I want to go to the south of Cameroon, I should be able to just put my hand in the pocket, get my passport ready, if that we're still utilizing passports and stuff, hop in the plane, land, and explore the country, see the beautiful sceneries, and do what I so wish to do legally, so enjoy life and come back. And that you can only do when you are
free economically.
Free economically.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to benefit our movement as well is how does the party, how does the movement, the structures keep that respect? There's a lot of respect, you know, within the ranks of the EFF. Like you know, in the branch, for instance, when we are conducting meetings, there's always need to consult hierarchy, to consult the region, to consult head office. You know, there's always that. How do you keep that going? Because there's tendency when you do autonomous branches, there's tendency that people want to do their thing. How do you keep that?
You know, I always refer to the family structure. Why is it that the child knows not to do wrong when the mother is there, when the father is there? It's because that child was taught discipline from when he was young. So you come back to the branch. If you create a branch where you just make up numbers, you call your friends, you give them position, you give them this, and all of a sudden you call yourself a branch, you can already tell the foundation in which you're founded is flawed. That on its own, it's going to therefore destroy the actual branches of there will not be any respect, because why would I respect something that I did not even earn? But now when you create an education and awareness within that branch where members sit after understanding what does it mean when they say he's a chairperson, he's the secretary, she's the deputy chairperson, she's the treasurer, she's the deputy secretary. What does it mean? When that understanding is there, you can only understand it if you're taught it at a grassroots level. Once that understanding is there, you will find that now people, because it's again, if you go to all those other movements, if your father was the man in the community, people will then think, okay, we just make him the secretary because we're trying to please his father as well. So, but now here we're seated, and then we acknowledge, we recognize the leadership quality in this fellow fighter. Then come times to say, you know what, within the branch structure itself, we need to now nominate people. We nominate, we discuss it, we then vote. We agree. Once that is done, the process itself, the fact that I nominated her, it is because there's something I saw in her that I believe that she's capable of
delivering,
leading that particular portfolio. The very same fact that somebody else nominated me, they must have seen in me a bit of a leadership quality in me. So all that is there now, once that is done now, you will find that now, we don't just do it ourselves as a branch. We then, as you were saying, will consult with the regional structure. We don't consult with the national structure. We don't consult with the provincial structure. We go a step up from where we are to the regional structure. The regional structure, if they need to do so, they are the ones that will then go to the provincial structure. And if there is a need to do so, then the provincial can then move to the upper structure, which is the national structure. That goes on all the time. And each branch, if you've been to many meetings as a fellow fighter, you would have seen the structure that you find within a branch level mirrors that which you will find on the national, provincial, regional also. Because we don't want to
preparing people to go up. I mean, you've answered that. It's very easy. You're preparing the fighters from the ground so that if they happen to be called up, they are able to meet, you know, the requirements of the expectations of running that. No, that's brilliant. So, so Fighter Emmanuel, I wish that we could have a very long conversation, but I want us to have a lot of these conversations for our people to get to learn, to get to walk in the shoes of the likes of the EFF, and I'm hoping that we will get to, you know, get many more fighters from within the organization to come and speak to the rest of Africa and share your ideology and share your way of organizing. But the interesting thing that I want to also delve into is organizing rallies. What we see is the EFF would be having this rally on the 25th, and then that's what we see. And then on the 25th, there's 40,000 people on the field.
The whole place is red.
And what I thought was that people love CIC, Julius Malema. And when he says, on the 25th I'll be here, everybody goes out. I never knew about mobilization until I met you. And you told me, no, Wednesday is mobilization Wednesday. And so I want you to tell our people about mobilization. Because we thought, my brother, that when you put a poster out and you say it's the 25th, people just come and then they fill the stadium. I never knew about mobilization. So I want you to tell our people about mobilization.
You see, that too, you know, if parties like the liberation movements that have failed us, had they not done what they did, which is to fail us, you could possibly put up a poster there and says, there is a meeting and people just come. But people have been disappointed so much that even when, you know, there is, you know, that respect for the CIC when we know that he's coming. But you would have seen that even when he's not the speaker or is not even going to be in attendance, the rallies are still packed. Yeah. It's again, that's where the importance of a branch is. Because branch per branch will have members and has access to the community they are servicing. So when we make an announcement and say, you know what, we are going to be meeting with, we're going to be addressing a rally in a stadium or in a hall at this place at this time, so in such and such. What then needs to then happen is we go back to the branches. We'll convene a regional sort of like meeting where the regional structures will inform us of what it is that is expected and what it is that we need to do. As we leave from there, we now have targets to meet. Then we go back to our branches. Each branch, to start off with, must have 100 plus paid up members, warm bodies. Those are members that are actively participating within that branch. So of those 100 members now, we go back, we call a meeting, we say, look, there is a rally that is going to take place next month on this day, this venue. We need to now start communicating that message to the masses within our branch. Then the next branch does the same. The next branch does the same. So as we sit there now, you will have seen that in our meetings, as you said, there's a doctor, there's a housekeeper, there's a policeman, there's all those people from different groups of life. So as we go out there, there are people that from your branch, you can relay the message easily to, without even
people in your network.
You know, people in the network. So the branch itself goes out there and makes sure that we talk to every living being, whether he is an EFF member or not. It's not the point. We go there, we say, look, we are going to be having a rally in this place. The topic of the day is expropriation of land without compensation. We obviously want every South African to understand what it is that we mean by this. It will be very advisable that you attend if you go. If you're worried about transport as a branch, we are going to organize something. Those that have vehicles will also raise their hands up and say, okay, fine, you know, I can accommodate 5 other fighters, 10 other fighters, depending on what you're driving. If there is more than that, then we'll go back to the region and say, you know what, we think we need a bus. Then, boom, we'll get a bus. It's headed to the venue. Then the next branch has a bus. So imagine if you look into the region, Johannesburg alone, we've got 135 branches. 135 branches. So majority of those are in townships, which means there's more people that can relate to the message that has been pushed by the EFF. There can be more buses coming from those. In the suburbia, there will be a few buses, maybe 1 in each branch, but that, when it adds up, all of a sudden you see the place is all red. And then you think, geez, how do they do this? No, we have to mobilize from the ground.
That's very interesting for people in our movement and in our entire struggle to understand that, because we tend to do what you just said, put up posters and expect that everybody feels the struggle, everybody would come out. Failing to understand that a lot has happened in the past that has made people to be lukewarm when they hear these things. Same old, same old. You need to go and give somebody a reason that this is different, you know, in your community.
So to interject you there, I often say to our members in the branch, they say, people are difficult out there. I said, picture yourself being a guy interested in a lady who has had her heart broken maybe 3 other times. Chances of her listening to your story the first time are like very slim. You are gonna need to keep going back, give her the reason to want to listen to you. Give her the reason. So those people are people, just imagine 20 odd years. ANC has told them we are going to deliver this. They came in numbers, it never happened. They went back, oh God. ANC comes back, we're going to do this, they go there again, it never happens. So here comes the EFF. Even if we're going to be calling the biggest of rallies, if we just rely on putting a poster there and maybe making an announcement on newspaper or television, only the EFF members that are like really feeling the EFF ideology will come. But it's of no use preaching to the already converted. Yeah. You need to reach out to those that probably haven't heard about what your teachings are all about. They've heard about you, but they don't really. So when you go out there now, you approach. I approach even if you are wearing an ANC T-shirt, because for me you are lost. So I approach you respectfully. Look, brother, this is what's going down on this day, this time. Who would like you to come? Why? Why, I'm not an EFF member. No, you don't have to be an EFF member. We would like you to hear that which we will be telling the masses. Because at the end of the day, who knows, you might change your mind. Because majority of the people that are now, EFF, a few years ago when EFF started, they were like, don't tell me about those guys. We're not joining. But because of that awareness, that education, when those rallies convene, there is always going to be something. I can tell you that the EFF will be the one trending the whole week, if not the whole month. In schools, EFF will be the most talked about because the message is going to be delivered in a way that even he who did not believe would have walked away thinking, okay, maybe I need to hear one more, attend one more meeting and then I'll make up my mind. I've had one of those. You've been to a meeting the other time where I had two, they were not fighters. They said, no, we just came because we want to hear what you guys, what your policies are on about, how you plan to go about achieving this so-called goal. And after a few meetings, they came back there, without us giving them a membership form, they came back and said, where's the membership form? Why? No, I want to join. I had a guy who came in and then he had already bought himself a beret in town. He said, no, I want to join, but I thought you said you're not interested. No. As I come here and then I listened, I walk back home slightly convinced. I come back slightly again. And then now I'm ready to go out there and preach the EFF ideology. Yeah.
That's very interesting. And one of the things that the rest of Africa don't know, and this whole policy of transformation from the ground up of the EFF is that the EFF has almost, won elections in all the student
universities.
They just won Durban. That is a miracle, That is a stronghold of the ANC as we know it. They just won that in the Natal University. That is huge, Why are young people trusting this ideology? It's because it resonates with them. And I'm saying that as the chairperson of the Youth League of Scope and saying that we have a mandate, which is to educate young people so that they don't get lost, so that they don't get, they don't fall into the same old traps, which is going to be through political education. Of all the mandate that the movement has given us, we want to focus just on education. This conscientization of young people so that they know what they are choosing, so that they prepare for when they get to a position of leadership, they don't sway, like you have shared. So that's why we are focusing on that. And we are really hoping that we will have a lot of relationship with the young people within the EFF. We will have interviews or discussions like this, at times panel discussions, at times debates that would energize the African youth, not only the Ambazonian young people, but the African
child.
So that we can become, the liberation movements of Africa and free Africa for real. This whole thing where leaders are rushing to China and carrying bags of money are not even telling us the implications of the bags of money that they are carrying. It's crazy, you know. And if we don't educate ourselves, if we don't have conversations around these things, that is what leaders will go and do. And we'll let them because we don't know better. So I'm really, really excited that we're having this conversation to mark our 100 days as the Southern Cameroon Congress of the People. I'm glad that you have spoken to Southern Cameroonians. You know a little bit about our struggle now. And
you know,
yeah.
You know, I always say that I'm one of those that understand that Africa is a continent, and South Africa is just that part that is at the bottom of it. Whereas some people think that maybe as South Africans we are away from. They speak of. You often hear people saying that I'm going to Africa. Where are we? so for me, learning the struggles of the continent has always been one of those things that, with Google, that can bring about information that you can search at any given time. I used to say that on a monthly basis, I would learn at least 20, if not 21, country stories. So I'll go in today, I'll say, well, you know what, I've been to the north, I've been to the south, I've been to the west, I've been to the east. I haven't even really gone central. Let me go find a country. So I'll zoom in, okay, boom, here's a country. Let me find out about them. What is their story? Who is the president? Who was there before? All those sort of things. So that on its own, that's the other thing, that when you sit within the EFF cells, within the EFF meetings, within the EFF rallies, we don't just sit there and say, you know what, we want to govern. We sit there and then we talk about why is it not ideal for us to just jump up now and run to China, get that bag of money and come back and then solve our problems, without thinking about what it is that we need to now do for China, for the bag of money that we... So those are the things that we sit there and then we learn. We look at an African country that has done something similar and is now suffering the consequences. And the best, you touched earlier on the issue of the youth. And in the beginning when my mother-in-law used to say they call it Party Yabash, Party of the Youth. She used to refer to it as such. And then I would always ask her, like, who did you vote for? I won't tell you, my vote is my secret. And then, you know, I'll sit down and I'll talk about EFF. She will see something there. When she comes there, she will look and she will hear it on TV. And one day she said to me, I need a t-shirt myself as well. I need a t-shirt myself as well. And then I said, what t-shirt? She said, EFF. I said, why? What changed? She said, no. You know, if it wasn't for you guys, this Zuma and the Guptas would have stolen the country right under our noses. Yeah. You guys have opened up, you know, the eyes. And those are the things that for me, Derric, I look at and I think we used to be seen as the party of the youth. But of late, if you look at it, our rallies, you're now finding elderly there. You're now finding people that you would have never thought that they will attend. Because the message is starting to reach and hit the right, you know, we're hitting the G-spot. Maybe, for lack of better terms, one can say so. We've reached the point where not only the youth understands, because people thought the youth will think education, well, I need education, let me go there. But the parents are thinking now, I need to leave this country a better place for my grandchildren and my children. Yeah. And the only way to do so, it appears that the EFF is the only way. You can go, I mean, anybody can come and tell you about your DA, come tell you about your ANC, but the truth of the matter is, I can debate the whole night, the whole morning, until whatever happens. This is a hand. You can come and say, no, it's a knee, it's a what. Eventually.
It is what it is.
You will then say, oh, who am I fooling? It's a hand.
Yeah.
And EFF is the future. We can go this way, go that way. EFF is the future. And I can tell you that EFF is the future.
Yeah. No, my brother, let's keep educating. We obviously are going to keep learning from the structures, from the movement, hoping that also the foreign policy of the EFF would then have interest in the rest of Africa, probably pick up our struggle and highlight it for the rest of, and amplify it for the rest of Africa as well. So it was really nice having this first conversation, and I'm hoping to have many more with you and other EFF fighters within the upper ranks of the structure in the same light. Thank you so much for joining us.
So
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. Thank you.